Our learning target for today is I can represent the multiplication of n times ab using the associative property in visual models. So the first thing we need to understand is what is the associative property? And pretty much that's just telling us that we can group our factors in the different ways and still get our same result. So for example, if we were doing 4 multiplied by 3, in this top example we have we have 4 groups of 3, and that has 3, 6, 9, 12 as our answer. Or we could have 3 groups of 4, 4, 8, 12. So we're using our factors and getting the same answer even though our groupings are different. And we can do the same with fractions. So 4 multiplied by 3/5, here I have 4 groups of 1/5. I have 1/5, 2/5, 3/5. So I have 3/5 in each group, and I'm using that addition, that repeated addition or multiplication, and I would get the same answer as if I just multiplied across. So we can use the associative property to find the same answer. So we could say 4 multiplied by 3/5, or we could say 4 times 3/5. We have different ways to find our answers. Now, we've used multiplication by a whole number and a fraction to find our answer. We know that we have that secret agent 1 that's always below the 4. So we could use repeated addition, but it's not the most efficient way. This is the most efficient way, using our just multiplication straight across. So we know that 4 multiplied by 3 is 12. And 1 multiplied by 5 is 5, because with multiplication, we multiply our numerators and then our denominators, so our answer would be 12/5. Now we can turn that into a mixed number. We know that 5 goes into 12 without going over twice, so that is our whole number. And we have 2 remaining, so 2 and 2/5 is the same, or the equivalent, is 12/5. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, and I know this is a lot, is if we were going to put this equation into unit form. So we said 4 multiplied by 3/5 is equal to 12/5. Well, how can we put our fraction into unit form? Remembering all the way back when we started learning about fractions, that unit form is when our numerator is 1. So our units aren't going to change. We're still learning, we're still working with fifths. Unit form is when our fraction, our numerator is 1. So now we have to ask ourselves, 1/5 times what will make 12/5? And we know that our whole number has a 1 underneath it, which means the top number needs to be multiplied by the numerator to get our answer. So what multiplied by 1 will equal 12/5? And our answer is 12. 12 multiplied by 1 equals 12. 1 multiplied by 5 equals 5. So 2 different ways to show the same thinking, to show equivalent fractions. This is the unit form version. And so whenever we see a fraction or an equation like this, 4 multiplied by 3/5, we can find our answer, and then we can turn it into unit form by realizing that our numerator has to be 1 because it's unit form, and we're just going to multiply that 1 by whatever our numerator was. I'm going to do one more example before you try on your own. We're going to do 4. Actually, let's do 3 multiplied by 5/6. We're not going to put it into the repeated addition way, but I can see that I have my secret agent 1 below my whole number because 1 goes into 3 times. And now I can just multiply across. 3 multiplied by 5 is 15. 1 multiplied by 6 is 6, so my denominator is 6. So my answer is 15/6. And now I can turn it into a mixed number. I could say 6 goes into 15 2 times without going over. And there's 3 remaining. So 15/6 is the same as 2 3/6. I can also turn it into unit form. So these are all equivalents, right? 15/6 is the same as 2 3/6. I'm going to find an equation in unit form that matches 3 multiplied by 5/6. I know in unit form my fraction has to be 1/6 because my units as my denominator are not going to change. And if it's unit form, my numerator is 1. And so I have to think, what can I multiply 1/6 by to make 15/6? I know my whole number is going to be my answer, that my numerator for my answer, which is 15. So that means 15 multiplied by 1/6 is also equivalent or the same as 15/6. If that's secret agent 1, 15 times 1 is 15. 1 multiplied by 6 is 6, 15/6. So today we're going to take that original multiplication problem, we're going to solve it. We're going to turn it into a mixed number, and then we're going to rewrite it in unit form like I did. And the trick is remembering unit form means our denominator, our total units are staying the same, and our numerator is always going to be 1 in unit form.